welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. I just want to take a moment to say, blimey, just when you thought you had enough of AI and it was all sorted, yet even more AI. Well, yeah, more of the same possibly at the moment anyway. So what have we got this time around? Well, having a look at specifically OpenAI, just to set the scene, and really about the fact that there's been so much about the GPTs that you can create, essentially mini, well, they're not mini necessarily, but you can create a GPT explicitly for a use case, okay, that you might have, okay? And the idea being the GPT or GPTs, plural, essentially can be put onto a GPT store, almost like an app store for your phone, but for AIs. And there's going to be tons of these, I'm sure. I covered it before in a previous episode. But interestingly, where I want to tune into is that there's links below, but the GPT store, anybody can create a GPT, which could be literally for things like the big one of the big things, by the way, sorry, I should say, is you can upload files or link to, you know, I think there's even now a possibility linking to audio files as well. But certainly, you can imagine you could have your own custom GPT to upload PDFs to go and analyze it, convert it to a different language. You know, there's all the different languages. So, you know, that's quite an interesting one. But also the fact that, you know, it's very easy as just a user that isn't a developer. You can go explore the GPT store, create your own, and publish it either privately if you don't want it to be put out there, or publicly, and you can even charge for it. Goodness me. But I believe for those other, you know, where you're creating your own and charging for it, I think you do need, I'll double check this, but I think you do need an OpenAI plan, like a price. There's a pricing plan, and it's roughly, I think from memory, about $20 a month. So it's not cheap, but if you were maybe a little bit more serious about doing this, then off you go. But yeah, the GPTs, you can have them specifically for things like Canva design, Zapier, you know, to automate some of your mundane tasks. Or you could do things like, you know, I'm trying to find out what's going on with resumes, CVs, you know, upload a whole bunch of them and ask explicit questions of just that data. Now it can go out and look at the wider data, you know, the normal LLM large language model stuff. So it can augment that, but you can also tell it to be specific and look at just these PDFs or whatever it is, text files or numbers or Excel sheets. So it's very good. There's going to be a lot of playing and toy versions of this, but there's probably, and there is, some serious type stuff going on there. Okay, but what we're getting to is in this episode is that's fine and that's covered. There's so much coverage about GPTs, but also the fact that there are um, OpenAI also released assistants. Okay, it's been around for a little bit longer. Actually, it's still in beta as of the time of this recording, anyway. But interestingly, assistants, really, the difference is that unlike the GPTs, you've got a front end. You can, you know, anyone can create them. Assistants are more aimed at developers, but the big difference is you can link things together. Because you're a developer, you can call the assistants API, the OpenAI provide, and you can sort of use what they refer to as LangChain sort of thing, where you can do lots of clever stuff. Like, not only can you upload images, PDFs, text, or audio, or whatever, but instead of it being just prompt, one prompt and that's it sort of thing. You can chain these things together, which basically means you can start to do some really clever stuff. You can do, real specific function calling on the data. So you can actually analyze text, analyze images, analyze audio, but you can then pass, once you know what something is, you can pass it on to another model to get even more deeper insights, things like that. You can also use fine tuning. Okay, so you can get way better responses from your prompts because you can do setting the style, tone, format, all that type stuff. You can improve the reliability of producing the output. And you can correct failures as well. So if something's not right, you can actually go back and say, no, go and try this again. Now you can do that in prompts anyway, but the point being is this can be automated through the API code itself. It can actually go and try to correct itself, for want of a better thing. But you can create all sorts of new skills. And for me, it's the assistance API. I believe you can then still utilize that in the GPT store, actually, which is quite fun. But realistically, I think the assistance API gives you a much more gives you a much my English is I should ask ChatGPT to write this, shouldn't I? But it gives you a deeper level of interaction with all of the different models that OpenAI provide, the fine tuning. You've even got embeddings if you want to do your own like nearest search type calculations and things like that. So there's a hell of a lot more you can do with assistants. But the GPTs, it really is democratizing. You can literally have anyone go and say, I want to create one, a GPT to do this explicit thing. I've got one in mind, which I've got to have a go. Is I'm just going to call it the HAL GPT, where anything you ask, it says, "I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave," and I think that's quite appropriate, isn't it? Anyway, gone way over the 5 minutes again, but that's what I've got for this time, and yeah, it's a weird world, isn't it, with all of this? But like I say, usually there's so many tools available. It really comes down to motivation and time, doesn't it? But anyway, let's see what we can do and take care in the meantime, and we'll catch you on the next one.